In the early years of World War II, Gunther Prien was one of the outstanding German U-boat aces, the first to be awarded a Knight's Cross of the Iron Cross. He sunk over 30 Allied ships. By far his most famous exploit was the sinking of the British battleship HMS Royal Oak. For his exploits, he was given the nickname the Bull of Scapa Flow. On March 7, 1941, the U-47 was posted as missing. He was at sea less than 2 years, and Prien's record still stands high among World War II U-boat commanders.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to Small Soldier. Today I'll be doing a review on Andrea Miniatures' Gunther Prien 1939 kit. It's a white metal model. It's in 90mm, and the product number is TR-006 if you needed that information. It comes from the Third Reich Rise and Fall series. The box is very sturdy inside and out, so you know the model will be fully protected and you won't have any issues with distortion or damages with the contents. On the side of the box you get some call-out numbers for paints and tools if you were going to use the Andrea Miniature line of products. And on the back of the box you get some really nice color photography, front, side, and back view for painting reference if you were going to do the uniform very similar or close to this rendition, which I will be, so this will come in very handy. And that's the outside of the box. Not much more to say about it than that. Let's go to the inside. Alright, let's take a look at what's in the box. It's an open-end type box. Andrea always packs their models in an extra cardboard box on the inside like this. And it comes with a nice color photo of Gunther Prien. And I might use that in the finished display. I'm not sure yet. And of course you get a little manual here that goes through assembly, what types of tools to use, that kind of thing. And then you get Andrea paint reference colors on the inside if you were going to, again, use their products to complete the model. Let's take a look inside. So as you can see, the cardboard they pack it in is very sturdy. It comes with a foam liner to protect the inside. Let's take a look at the base first. And there you can see that's the base. Just in here, that may need to be taken care of and cleaned up a bit. The casting is very accurate to what the deck of the U-boat might look like. And this part here will be the back railing that'll attach. And as you can see, that fits in very well. And then of course, Gunther Prien will be attached to this point here. From what I've read from other reviews, if you are building this kit, just make sure before you assemble the figure that you do a dry fit to this railing, because if you assemble the model of the figure before you put it on here, there can be some fit issues just with alignment. So that is the base portion. Let's take a look at the figure. So here you can see the casting is very well done. Not a lot to clean up. There's maybe a few mold seams here and there that, like down here you can see there's a portion here that will need attention. These are actually cuts in the clothing where the seams are. As you can see, the face is very well sculpted and it's a good likeness of Gunther Prien. I may undercut some of the metal parts here just in the coat, just to get a thinner profile of the clothing. And this is the arm portion attached to the leg. And it looks pretty good too as well. And again, there will just be probably some minor seams. I want to actually really take a close look at it. I'm sure there will be some parting seams that need to be taken care of. And you can see here, this is the arm. The hands are really well sculpted on this figure. Very impressed with the hands. That can be a downfall on some figures. Hands and faces, you know, are the hardest part to do on human anatomy, so these are really done well. And this is the other leg portion. And you can see there, casting is excellent on that. The folds are really, really well done. They look natural. Let's take a look at the detail parts. And there is the other hand. As you can see, details are excellent on that as well. And the hat. Finally, the binoculars. So I've assembled a few tools here that you may need when you're putting together a white metal figure. They're the ones that I like to use myself. First off, I have a razor saw here with fine and medium type teeth on it. There may be pore plugs that you might need to get rid of, and that will cut them off fairly quickly. I have a variety of metal files ranging in size and widths and lengths. Depending on what you're doing, there's some fine detail you may have to sand off. And I have some steel wool for polishing, kind of finishing it off at the end. Some sanding sticks, a scalpel or X-Acto blade, and then finally a sewing needle like this, a larger size, just for polishing small details as well. It'll burnish the metal and get it smooth. Those are the tools I use. We'll get into cleaning up the figure and assembling it in the next part. So I thought we'd start with the arm section of the figure. And as you can see, right in here we've got some parting seams that will need to be taken care of. So what you want to do is just take your X-Acto blade, and I'm not pushing very hard. It's because if you push too hard you may cut into the metal and distort it. It's just a light motion like this. So that's pretty much what you want to do there. And you want to just keep working your way around that mold seam, and I'm using a pair of optivisors to see this. The priming will show where any of the imperfections or seams may land, and then you'll just have to clean them up from there and then reprime at that point. So now I just want to come in with like a rat tail type of file or a needle file like this, and just gently hitting it with too much pressure, just a light sand. And the nice thing about a file like this, you've got a large filing section and a very fine section here too, so I can get in to a tight spot like this with it, or if I need to get in and do a larger section where I need it to be more round and smooth, I can use this particular section here. You really won't find these kind of files in a hobby store. A jewelry store is a great place to go for getting files for this type of work. I'll show you one more step here before I go off camera to finish it. Take your steel wool, and you're just going to get in there and burnish this up. That's polished that metal up and taken out any imperfections that might have been caused by the files or the knife. So I'm going to do the rest off camera, and we'll come back and take a look at what it should look like when it's finished. Okay, I've decided to remove this hand here so I can detail the sleeve a little better. And there you go, that's off. So I'll be back with the next step. So off camera, I've hollowed out this area here and took out some material here just to give it a little more of a three-dimensional and not such a flat form. You can see in here I scribed around the edge of the sleeve. And another good idea is score the metal like this in a crisscross fashion, inside and out. And then you're going to do the same on the mating surface here. It just gives the two parts a little more bite when you put them together. And that's what I always do, just to ensure that you get a good bond. So I'm going to continue on to cleaning up this figure here. as I was cleaning up this body of the figure here, it did take a lot longer than I thought. There were quite a few mold seams that were quite prominent once I put my optivisors on. That's why it's kind of hard for me to do this, show you guys exactly what I'm doing through the full process, because I can't see up close enough, and then my optivisors get in the way and you can't see what I'm doing anyway. I thought I'd just explain what I did. There was a lot of seam lines running through here and up the scarf that I didn't really see until I, like I said, put my optivisors on. You can probably see there, it's pretty clean. I had to rescribe the coat seams as well on the shoulders because I kind of lost those. That's kind of where you want to take it to before you put primer on it. So one thing I wanted to explain to you too, if you didn't understand what I meant by doing a cross hatching pattern in the metal so that you get a better bond. So I'll do a sample so you get an idea of what I mean. You just have to go in and run your knife in the area where you're going to put your cement across your mating surfaces, and across the area where the plug is. Then you want to go across one more time and just cross hatch. And what this does is it breaks up that flat surface. So when you put your super glue or your 5-minute epoxy, which I'll use a little bit of both, it just creates a more porous area for the glue to bond to. So that's all you have to do right there, and you'll get a much better bond. So as you can see, I've pre-drilled a hole in the sleeve, and I've put a pin in the hand here. I'll just be attaching it, and that will give us the right angle for his hand. It's got a little more dimension to the sleeve, and it looks a little more natural than just, you know, a flat ending to the sleeve. Let's go on to the next step. So here you can see I've already added some Mr. Surfacer 500. There were some miscast pieces here, so I went ahead and filled those earlier. All I'm doing here is I'm adding a little bit of Tamiya lacquer thinner to the Mr. Surfacer, and that'll thin it down to the consistency I need. So this Mr. Surfacer, you can use this on aircraft wing roots or armor, wherever you've got a small imperfection and you want to fill the area. That's how you can use Mr. Surfacer as well. It's not only a primer, but it can be used as a minor filler as well. And the last part here we're going to clean up are the binoculars. Alright, so next thing I want to show you here is a thing called a beading tool. And I got this at a jeweler's shop. And I'll show you with the big one here. You can see the end is concave, so it's great for making round rivets or buttons. You can see there it's a concave profile. And you should be able to find something like that at your local jewelry shop. And you can see here I need to replace button on the sleeve here. Take the beading tool, and I've got a rubber backed this is like a vulcanized piece of rubber, and as you can see I can't push through it. Somebody gave this to me, so I'm not really sure where to get one of those. So anyway, I've got a piece of lead foil, so all I do is just push down and twist, and then you can see right there's my rivet or button that I just created. See if I can get that up to show you. And you can see that makes a nice perfectly round button. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that on the sleeve, and then we will go on to assembling this figure. So next I'm going to make pilot holes where I'm going to drill for a couple pins. And just with my awl here I'm going to get a rough center area just so my drill bit doesn't wander. And then I'm just going to drill that hole. as you can see, I've got 2 holes drilled there where I can insert my pins. So next I'm going to show you a little trick here, how we're going to line up these holes to create corresponding holes in this section here. Now, I've already gone ahead and I've added some poster tack, and I've placed it in the corresponding holes already. Take some oil paint, place the oil paint in the holes, take the 2 parts and press. There's a little bump there and there's a little bump there, and those are going to be the spots where you're going to drill your holes out. So next step will be to glue the handrail in here. I'm going to use some 5-minute epoxy. We will take our pins, press those in. I will come back when this is dry and we'll start the next step. Alright, now to assemble the figure. Alright, after a lot of sanding and prep work, all that's left to do is add some putty in the seams here on the sleeve and a little bit back here. So I'm going to show you how to do that. We're going to be using some of this Aves Epoxy Sculpt. It's a 2-part epoxy air dried putty. And Aves also makes a product here, it's called Safety Solvent, and it blends the putty into the surface, but I also use a little bit of water as well. Take a bit of part A, just a small ball, and a bit of B. And then I just take a bit of water and start mixing. Okay, so I'm going to take a bit of putty here. Then what I'll do is I'll take some of the safety solvent, start blending that. I'll leave it at that and we'll come back with the next step later. So here are the primed and prepped pieces. The stand where counterprene will sit, and there is the figure, and I've pre-pinned the hand and the binoculars just because they get in the way when you're painting. That hand it'll be hard to paint that pant leg with the hand attached, so I can attach that after the painting is complete. Same with the binoculars. But that is the primed and mounted figure ready to paint. So that video will be coming up soon. This completes the build and review of the kit. It's an excellent figure, as you can see. The detail is very good overall, but there were some issues with fit, and I had to do quite a bit of sanding and prep work to remove some of the imperfections. There was just a lot of pitting and things that needed to be cleaned up, so that did take quite a while. I won't lie about that. The casting was not perfect, and the next part will be painting. It could be a 2 or 3 part video. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet, but it could take quite a while, and the videos could get rather long. But what I want to do is show you the full procedure that I go through when I'm painting, so you can't really show that in a shortened video. This will be a fun project, I think, and should be an interesting one. I hope you're looking forward to it as much as I am, and I will talk to you guys later. Take care.